Good morning and welcome to today's European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Laura and I'm delighted to be joined by Luca Vitali, who will present the topic, how to use Azure Automation to change Teams auto attendant and call queue settings.
Nice to meet you.
Remember to join in on the conversation about today's webinar and more on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is #ESPC23. Don't forget to check out the Resource Centre. We update this daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars and how-to videos. Visit sharepointeurope.com and click the Content tab at the top. Continue your learning by joining us for our next webinar, OneDrive Group Policies, also for smallest companies, with Hans Brender, who is also known as Mr. OneDrive, which takes place on Thursday, August 10th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. CEST. For full details, please check out sharepointeurope.com/register for webinars. You can now watch the European Power Platform Conference 2023 showreel video from Dublin last June. Last month, over 1,200 Power Platform professionals gathered in Dublin for the European Power Platform Conference 2023. Check out our amazing showreel video full of conference highlights from Dublin. Next year, we are taking the European Power Platform Conference to Brussels. You can join over 1,500 of your professional peers and expect world-class expert guidance to help you succeed in your projects and career. And of course, not to forget an unforgettable experience in the beautiful city of Brussels. Register your interest for the European Power Platform Conference 2024 in Brussels at sharepointeurope.com/European Power Platform Conference. Europe's premier Microsoft 365 and Azure Technologies Conference occurs this November 27th to 30th in Amsterdam. With access to over 100 world-class speakers and over 120 expert sessions, there is endless knowledge to gain at ESPC 23. Microsoft technologies, as we know, are advancing rapidly, so stay in the know by attending ESPC and hear from the greatest on the very latest. Get your early bird discounted tickets for ESPC 23 in Amsterdam now. Join us and learn to better master Microsoft 365 and Azure. Visit sharepointeurope.com to secure your tickets at this discounted price. So, after the webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Type any question that you might have into the questions window. We will select and answer the questions at the end of the presentation. This webinar will also be recorded and added to the Resource Centre, where you will be notified by email when it becomes available. And now I'm going to pass you over to today's webinar presenter, Luca. Hello, Luca.
Nice to meet you, all of you. So, thank you for this introduction. I'm Luca Vitali. I work and live in Italy. I'm Microsoft MVP since a few years, and now today I want to show you some real problem, how to solve this with Azure Automation. So we will see the goals and problems that we want to solve, how to set up Azure Automation, and three practice real example on how to use Azure Automation to solve a real problem in Microsoft Teams, voice features and voice environment. At the end, question and answer. Anyway, if you want to place some question, I will try to answer as soon as possible, also during the session. It's not a problem. And at the end, some takeaways. So first of all, which kind of problems, which kind of goals we want to solve, and let's start with Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams offer a PBX replacement to companies, so you can use Microsoft Teams as a PBX, as a enterprise voice solution, and into Microsoft Teams there are two features that help Microsoft Teams to distribute calls to the end users. So these two features are IVR, auto attendant, and call queue function. These settings could be set up and managed via graphic interface, but also via PowerShell. So we have a PowerShell command to modify, to change the settings of this call queue. In this example, we will use a call queue number named call queue 1. You can name it as you want, but in this example, we will see how to change some settings of the call queue with PowerShell. So we will use a PowerShell command to change these settings, and we will use Azure Automation to run this PowerShell. So the goal is to change some settings into a call queue, but you can do it anywhere in Microsoft Teams, anywhere in Exchange, as you prefer. This is just an example. You can change the settings in the call queue to obtain a goals, to obtain some kind of service that you need to achieve. Okay, so this is the goals. How to change settings into Microsoft Teams call queue and auto attendant. Okay. And why use Azure Automation? So what is Azure Automation? Azure Automation is a service in cloud, is a cloud service that Microsoft offers to you. Is a service that will take your script from PowerShell or Python and run it directly in cloud. These scripts are called runbooks, so you can create any runbooks that you want, and into these runbooks you will run PowerShell commands, Python commands. Okay, is more or less like to open your PowerShell command into your PC and run it, but this run is executed into cloud. So there is no need to have a virtual machine that run in cloud with the cost bound to a virtual machine. You have just the execution of the command into cloud, and the most important aspect of this solution is that you will pay just the runtime of the execution. So if your script will run, for example, for 1 minute, you will pay 1 minute of execution cost. Not when the script is not running, you will pay nothing. Okay, so this is the table from the Microsoft site that explain the cost. There are 500 minutes included for free into the service. So the first 500 minutes of Azure Automation is completely free. After that, if you execute more minutes, you will pay this cost for every minute of execution. So if you have, for example, script that works very quickly, for example, 30 seconds, 1 minute, this service is completely free for you. Okay, and let's see how to create it and how to use it. So this is an example. We will see it later in the session. How to set up, what we need to set up an Azure account, Azure Automation account. We need an Azure Automation account that we see in a few seconds. We have a credential for authentication. So we need to enter into Azure Automation account the credential that we will use to log in into Microsoft Teams in this example. We need the PowerShell module to be loaded on Azure Automation account, and we need a webhook to execute the runbook. Let's see the creation of this solution. Sorry. So this is an Azure Automation account. You will create it into a resource group as any other service on Azure. You will create Azure Automation account just from the marketplace. So if you automation. you will see it from here. You will create it from here. I have created it yet, so enter into Azure Automation account. Into Azure Automation account, there are many services. You can create as many Azure Automation account as you need. There is no cost. There is no problem to create many different Azure Automation account. Any Azure Automation account have the is a independent ambient to run your runbook. So you can create, for example, different Azure Automation account, one for every customer. You can manage tenants, customers tenant from your tenant, from your Azure. Maybe you can create an Azure Automation account for every customer. You can run a PowerShell command on their tenant one by one. Every customer with their own Azure Automation account. So into any Azure Automation account, you will have the list of runbooks that we will create it in the next slides. You will see the module that are available on this Azure Automation account. So this is more like load, install module on your PC. Okay, and you will have a credential that is used, that will be used to execute a command. First of all, because there is some times that need to run, we will add a module for the next script that we need. So I have to add the Microsoft Teams module. If I try to see, there is no Microsoft Teams module. So if I want to run PowerShell command that use Microsoft Teams commandlet, at this time I cannot run this kind of PowerShell because the commandlet is not loaded into this Microsoft Automation account. So we have to add a module. I will browse the PowerShell gallery. Teams, okay. Microsoft Teams. Select. Runtime version 5.1. So I'm loading this module. Refresh. Importing. Okay. During the import time, I will show you the credentials. So at this moment, into this automation account, I'm loading the Microsoft Teams module. I have created a Teams admin account used to execute the command. This is a very interesting aspect because I can create as an admin the automation account used by the PowerShell command that maybe someone else will create, someone else will use. And I can create an account without giving the password, the username and password to the developer, to the person that will create the script. We will see in few minutes that the PowerShell command will use Teams admin, this name. The user that created the script do not need to know username and password. There is completely no need to use this. I can create it on behalf of the developer, of the person that created the script, and who created the script needs to know only Teams admin, this name. Okay. So we can create a separation of role between who create the script and who have access to the system with the username and password. I can create this credential on behalf of the script creator, and he do not need to have a password to use this. You can also use certificate to log in, but in this example, I use credential, standard credential. It's important to note that this account do not support MFA. So you cannot use MFA with this kind of authentication. You have to create an admin account that do not have MFA. So sometimes this could be a problem. You have to use a long password or protect it. If this is not suitable for you, you have to use a certificate account. I hope that the module loaded. Okay, Teams is available. So our environment is ready. We have an Azure Automation account. We have the module that we use installed and the credentials. So we have everything that we need to create the first example. The first example is on-call service. What is on-call service? Maybe we have to give to a customer on-call service, a 24-hour on-call service. So the customer, we want to call a service number. We'll call a service number, and the call queue on Teams will redirect the call, the customer call, to the on-call duty operator. So this service will help the different on-call operator, different operator of this on-call service to continue to use their mobile number. The callee do not know the number of the operator, so they just call a landline number, and the call queue will redirect the service to the operator on duty. So how to change this number? Sometimes this number is changed directly from the operator via a physical telephone. But this on Teams is not possible. It's not easy, and you have to use a license on the telephone number. So how can I achieve this service change without licensing cost and in a very easy way? An idea is to use a runbook, Azure Automation, and for example, a lightweight bot. So we can create into Teams a lightweight bot that will call a webhook. The webhook will trigger the execution of the PowerShell change, and in this way, we can also pass the number that we want to change to the Azure Automation account. So the idea is to use a free service, because this is a free service. This is a free service if you stay lower than 500 minutes per month, and the call queue service is completely free. So you will have a completely free system to change numbers into Microsoft Teams without any additional cost. Okay, and let's see how. So I try to explain again. I wanted to change the on-duty operator number for this service. I want to use a free service, and let's see how to do that. We have to create a runbook, and we go to create first of all, the create a runbook. So we go to runbook, we create a new runbook. The runbook that we wanted to create is set queue number. Okay, it's a PowerShell script, and we create it. So we are creating this component. Okay, the runbook. At this time, the runbook is completely empty. I I take the code that I wrote. You can see it also on my blog. I try to explain this part of the code of the script. Will take information from Microsoft Teams call, okay, from the webhook, and this part of try to extract the number that we will use for the on-duty call change. So this part take the number from the body of the request, this authenticate on Teams, and as I said, the end user that create this script do not need to know username and password. Use just Teams admin, nothing else. I will log into Microsoft Teams with this credential that is very similar to what you will write into your PC if you do the same on your PC. And this is the command, the PowerShell command to change the queue that I know. This is the queue that is here, just for your. This is the on-call queue service. This is the ID of this call, okay, and it's the same, 2F at the end, and I will pass the telephone number that I want to change. So I will get information from the webhook. I will take this information to change the on-call service Teams call queue to redirect the number to the operator that is on duty. Okay. Publish. Okay. This is a precedent test. Okay. This is the same name of the test that I made, so there are some tests before. Okay, I created the runbook. Refresh. This is the runbook that I create. You can view the code, okay, and at this moment. I cannot trigger the execution of this runbook because there is no webhook associated. So I have to add a webhook. I enter the name of the webhook. Sorry, queue number webhook. I copy. Remember to copy the webhook, because if you do not copy it, you will lose it after this. Okay, so it's important to copy it, otherwise you will not. There is no way to get it again. So I have a runbook, and I have a webhook to trigger it. So I have the runbook and I have the webhook. And now we can create the lightweight bot. If you go to your Teams, manage Teams, apps, you can create an outgoing webhook. Is a bit hidden into the interface, so you can create an outgoing webhook. I will use the webhook that I create a few seconds ago, and I call it on call duty. You can call it whatever you want. Okay. So I create the lightweight bot. I create the runbook and the webhook that trigger it. and into the runbook, I have copied the PowerShell command to set the on-call queue service to the number that I wanted to use. So now I can start a simple post on call duty. I have to use the name that I entered into the lightweight bot, and now I will set the number that I want to use. Okay, it's a fake number, but it's not important. Post. This is the first time, the first way that I want to show you to use this service. I will return here soon. Okay, we will running. This is the runbook that is running. So I have invoked the trigger from the lightweight bot, completed. Okay. If we go to the call queue and we go to call timeout, the number is set. Okay, so this is the number that I set here. Okay, if I run it again, I will set the number here. So what we achieve, I've set a new number with this command. The number is passed to the runbook via webhook, and the runbook executes the command on the Teams call queue to change the number to this one. Okay, this is just an example, the first one. Okay, this is a problem that you cannot resolve with Microsoft Teams in this way, because the trigger that is the webhook used by Azure Automation do not answer back to the caller. So if you use Microsoft Teams lightweight bot, normally you want to it expect an answer from the webhook, but this answer never come back, and so you get this error. This is there is no way to there is no workaround, but it works. Okay, this is the first way to use Azure Automation account. Obviously, you can change it to whatever you want, to whatever you need. The first example is always on the call queue, but is a different question, different needs from customer. These are real problem from real customer. Okay, I will show you real problem and real answer to customer needs. Okay, a customer asked me, how can I change the call queue timeout based on how many available agents I have in the queue? So, for example, if I have 5 agents in my queue, I want to set the call queue on, for example, 1 minute. If I have more agents, I want to rise this time, or if I have lower number of agents, I want to lower the waiting time, the timeout of the call queue. So there is no way to do that natively in Teams. You have to use external service like this one. Okay, how can I do that? And the answer is we need to use Graph API. Okay, so we can get the information on how many available agents we have in the call queue, how many agents we have, and based on this information, we can set the timeout on the call queue. Okay, to do that, I need
Luca.
See, yes.
Sorry, there's just a question in here. So someone is asking, is there a way to set the bot to give a trigger response or answer, or at least show what was set?
I think that you have to do more on. I have not found a way to solve it. If I understand correctly, the question is how to manage this error is correct. If the question is about how to manage this error, I think that you have to send a Teams message to this post, but I've not managed it yet. So I have no answer at this moment to how to manage it. If you have any ideas, let me know, because I want to solve this, but I have no answer at this moment. I think that you have from PowerShell to send back a Teams chat or a Teams card to this post, but I have no answer yet. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm open to gain an answer from the audience. I hope that I have answered to the correct question. Okay. If not, I will try to do it later. So we can use Graph API. To use a Graph API on Azure Automation with PowerShell, I normally add another module that is MSPL. No, sorry, MS. This one, MS-ALPS. This is a PowerShell wrapper of the Graph API commandlet. So you can this commandlet is very useful to with PowerShell, because you can use PowerShell command to execute command on Graph API, typically of developer. So how to obtain a ticket, how to connect it to Graph API. So is an easy way for people that normally use PowerShell and maybe is not very used to Graph API to use command on PowerShell to connect to Graph API. We have to create another runbook, because we cannot use this to achieve the this task. Update overflow threshold runbook. Okay. Okay. Another runbook. Another runbook. I copy and paste the command. Okay. This is a longer command, but something is similar. So authenticate to Teams is identical. This is the part where MS-ALPS come rescue me, because with MS-ALPS I can use PowerShell command to get access to Graph API, to get the token, and in this way I will read, for example, the name of the agents present in the call queue. Okay, and we can go here to see that is the two agents are me and Bruce Wayne. Okay, and after that I take a MSL token, so authenticate on Graph API, and for every agent I will take the present status, the status present. So if it's away, if this agent is present, if it's NDA, and I count the number of agents by status. So I want to know how many agents are available, how many agents are away, offline, busy, and do not disturb. Okay, and in this way you can get it from my blog. I repeat again. In this way, I have the information that I need. And after that, I create a very simple operation with the number of agents available per 2 plus 3. So I want to set the overflow threshold, that is this information, just for. So I wanted to set this information based on the number of the available agents per 2 plus 3. Okay, to start, we can set it to 50. So we will see the change on this, and this is always the last command to set the call queue overflow threshold to the number that I want, the result of this operation. Okay, publish. So the same Azure Automation account, 2 runbooks. Okay, every runbook need to have their own trigger, their own webhook. Okay, we create a new webhook. Update overflow webhook. Okay, copy it if you do not want to lose it. Okay, webhook created. So this is the webhook to trigger this runbook. So I create the similar to the first example, but dedicated. Okay, and now we can schedule. We can manually start the runbook. Why I manually start? Because this is a job that needed to be scheduled, okay, to run every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the customer want. Okay, I hope to not get error. Complete. Okay, running. So what is doing now the runbook? It take the number of call queue agents available, it count the availability and set the call queue to the correct number. Completed. Okay. Exception handling 3, because I have only one available agent, I suppose. I have another available agent there. Bruce Wayne is available. So the counter was one available agent. No available agents, because no one was available. Bruce Wayne was not available yet. So the minimum is 3. Available agents 0, and he set to 3. If I have 2 available agents, okay, I set the two account available. I rerun it again. I hope it's set to 7. Running. Always the beauty of the real time. Hope it works. Normally works. And it's available, completed. Okay, let's see. 7, great. Okay, so 2 available agent per 2 plus 3, 7 available maximum call in the queue. Okay, it works, great. Of course, you have to schedule this trigger, this runbook need to be scheduled. Okay, every minute, every 1 hour, as you want, as the customer wants. Okay, the last but not least calendar example is how to change the information based on a presence on a calendar. So I will show it via slides, but you can do it via PowerShell, Power Automate, or Logic App. I will show it on slide, but you can get it on both of them. So the idea is, the needs is, I have a calendar where the presence, the appointment on the calendar is the reference for my shift on this service. So in this shift there is an operator for the call queue. In the second shift there is another operator, and so on. So every appointment into this shared calendar is a operator on duty in this service. I want to change the number of the operator that is called via this call queue based on this calendar. So fundamentally doing this not manually, okay, the same service not manually, but based on a calendar. So if I change the calendar, the corresponding number to the user in the calendar is changed on the service. So when this user is on duty, the number that is called by the call queue is its own mobile. When this user is on duty, then the number is its own mobile, and so on. Okay, how to do this? We have to use Power Automate or Logic Apps, as you prefer. If you have a Power Automate per user plan, because in this way, if you use Power Automate, you have to use premium trigger and premium action. Or if you have Logic App, you can use Logic App to achieve the same service. So whatever you have at your disposal, you can use it. We will see it. So the Logic App and the Power Automate command are more or less the same. I will show you via slides, but I can show you also via example on the browser. Sorry. So just a minute. Okay. Okay, so the trigger of this system is when an upcoming event is starting. Okay, this is the trigger. This is a trigger that monitor the calendar, so it can monitor a shared calendar, it can monitor calendar, whatever you have at your disposal, and look ahead for a next event starting soon. Is quite easy to understand. So this service is continuing controlling, checking if an upcoming event is starting, and the upcoming event, of course, is the change, the shift change. Okay, so we wanted to trigger the shift change a few minutes before. So when we are here, when we are here, few minutes before the shift change, we wanted to execute a new command. Okay, the first command that we wanted to do is to take the information from the user that is on duty. So in this way, for example, we have to enter the UPN part of the user. So, for example, name.surname, Luca.Vitali, okay, or another way to understand the user that is on duty. In this way, I take the information from the subject, I add the domain part of the UPN, and take the information from Azure Active Directory on which is the mobile number associated to the on-duty user. So I want to take the name of the person that is on duty. I want to retrieve the information from its mobile number from Active Directory. So I use Active Directory as a base for the mobile to use, and then I set the mobile name on a variable, and at the end we use the webhook to execute the command. The webhook could be the same information from the same webhook that we used since the first example. So we can trigger the same PowerShell command. We can trigger this one. Sorry. We can trigger the same PowerShell command, passing the information from Azure Active Directory about the mobile number of the upcoming new on-call duty operator. Okay, so in this way we can take the information from a shared calendar for the different shift of this service, take the information on which is the user, the operator that is on duty, and change the settings of the called mobile number few minutes before the shift change. Okay, so you can use Power Automate. If you have a Power Automate per user plan account, this is important because this action is a premium action. You cannot use this action with a standard account, or you can use Logic Apps. It's more or less the same. There is no very big difference to trigger the runbook and to execute it to change the information on the call queue. Okay, so question and answer. If you have some question or something is not clear, I'm glad to try to explain better.
Thanks a million, Luca, for a great presentation. So we'll get into the questions and answers part now. So again, should you wish to ask a question, please feel free to type it into the questions window now.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a takeaways, I want to remember that Azure Automation is a very low cost or near free service. So you can, as we see, you can use it until 500 minutes for free every month. It's a very high number of minutes in my opinion, for free. You can run PowerShell command, Python command, more or less the same that you run on your PC. You can copy it and paste it directly in Azure Automation without many changes. Okay, you do not need to change more or less anything, just the authenticate this line. You have to use this to authenticate, but it's very easy. When you know it, you can copy and paste it on every command. You can change Azure information, Teams auto attendant and call queue settings, but you can do it to you can do the same to change Exchange, to change SharePoint, to change everything that is manageable via PowerShell. So more or less everything on Microsoft 365. Okay. You can combine these two settings, and I think that the limit is your imagination in this case, or the question that puts to you your customer. So if you have customer that want to do that, and I think that this solution could help you to achieve it near for free.
Brilliant. So Luca, there's just one question in here. Someone else is just asking, they can't find how to create the calendar option on your blog, and they're wondering if you could put it there.
The solution is not yet on my blog because I have to finish it. I hope to finish it in a few days. Okay, thank you for going to my blog directly. It will be available in, I hope, in a few days after this session. Okay.
And there's just another question in here, and someone is asking, is it possible to authorize the webhook call only to some users in Azure Active Directory, or by default is it open to everyone?
The webhook do not ask for any authentication. If I understand correctly the question, the webhook is not authenticated. You can set information. You can set authentication for every Azure Automation account. So if you want to, for example, give access to some admin to the Azure Automation #1, you can use access control to give it authorization to someone or to block to someone else. And if you do this for every automation, you can isolate admin to different Azure Automation, because as we said, you can create as many Azure Automation as you want. You can enter on Azure Automation account #1 and give access to some account, some user, some admin. You can create Azure Automation account #2 with this different authentication. So in this way, you can isolate Azure Automation to different admin, but every runbook have its own webhook, and the webhook do not have any authentication. So if you have the webhook string, you have access to it. This is why it's so important to copy it from immediately, because there is no way to obtain it after the creation. So the webhook is very important. It's very important to strictly control it. This is a string that gives you access to trigger the runbook. It's important to remember that with the webhook you just trigger it. You do not do you cannot do any other things. You just execute the runbook. But if you have the string, you can trigger it. There is no way to place a username and password. I hope
Brilliant.
I hope this is the correct. I haven't correctly understand the question.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Luca, for answering those questions. So that seems to be all the questions that we have.
Okay.
So we might just wrap up the questions and answers session there. And I just want to say, on behalf of the ESPC community, we want to extend a huge thank you to you again, Luca, for taking the time today to carry out this webinar. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
So that is the end of today's webinar. You can find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/resource center. That is it for today, folks. Thanks again to everyone for joining us today. And we hope that you'll join us again for some more learning. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.